live from the internet. It's ZN
ZN
Live.
Live.
This week we are live from Mumbai, Brussels, and the very exciting city of Amsterdam with a very special guest that Lior is going to introduce. Lior, over to you.
Yes, today is with us Gideon Querido van Frank, or Gideon Querido. I tried to pronounce it in different ways. Anyway, he is a senior press officer at the Van Gogh Museum, or as we say in the Netherlands, Van Gogh Museum. And he does some really interesting things also besides his very fascinating work for the museum. He has a project that we will be discussing, which has everything to do with beards. So we're looking forward to hear why are beards such a big thing right now? Will it ever stop? And why devote an entire Instagram and website project to this? And also we'll be hearing of his recommendation. Gideon, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Phil and Liora, for having me. It's such an honor and such a privilege. Thank you.
Well, we're very happy to have you. And as you can see, Lior has Amsterdam in her background, so she knows where you're from and where you are right now. So you're working in a very specific area, but with a background as well in journalism and in cultural communication. So, how much do you use new tools, social media, to communicate about, the events, the art, the things that you're working on? How important is it in your communication mix?
It's super important. I mean, technology is, I wouldn't say the future, it's also very much the present. It's very important for our museum to reach out to new generations, to young people, also people my age. So we use social media technology a lot in order to connect with people. The Van Gogh Museum, as Liora says, Van Gogh Museum, we say in Dutch, is for the visitors. It's our mission to make the work and the life of Vincent van Gogh accessible for people around the world and for current and next generations. So it's absolutely crucial to use technology and speak the same language as the people we want to share our amazing collection with.
So you're using this obviously to bring people to, a very ancient space, which is where art has been shared for many, many years, decades, and more. So how do you kind of connect this established art with new ways of telling stories? Do you get people to participate online in conversations? Do you build a community? What are the key things you do to bring people's attention to that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say our building is ancient. It's a couple of decades old, so it's a quite modern building. It's very inspiring. But in terms of technology, we tell stories. We are a storytelling museum. By social media, on our website, we keep on telling stories about Van Gogh and his time. At the same time, we try to be relevant. We try to give people a sense that Van Gogh has a message for people everyday's life. So you can see that in our exhibitions, in our communications, in our side programs, that we always try to make a link with what people want. So we try to be inclusive. We try to tell stories that are in the margins. We try to tell the story about Vincent. Who was he, the person? And I think by telling these really relatable stories, I think that's so important to do that. And technology is a big help in this.
Gidi, when there was a lockdown and everything was closed, I think the Van Gogh Museum, together with some other museums in Amsterdam, did something quite interesting and fun to engage the public, which got a lot of media attention.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So we did a lot online because people couldn't visit the building. There was a lockdown. So we had many lectures, activities. Everything was happening online because people couldn't leave their house. The beginning of this year, we had another lockdown, and the Dutch government had decided that people could go to hairdressers, to barbers, amongst others, but they couldn't go to museums. So we rebranded, we renamed our museum, and we called it the Hair Salon Vincent van Gogh. And there were barbers working in the museum for like a day. So you could go to the museum, get your beard done or your haircut, see a little bit of the collection, and have a museum experience. And we had a lot of press coverage for that. We went absolutely viral, of course. So there were many posts about it. So there were some videos that we were sharing with the world around us. And the press loved it. It was it was an amazing experience.
Yeah, I really love that. That was so fun and such a good angle. Instead of complaining, just to do something to break the rules. Talking about beards and barbers, you have another project that you were working on. It's called Beards of Berlin. What is it, and why Berlin? Tell us everything.
I wrote an essay a couple of years ago about beards because I do think fashion reflects the zeitgeist, the time we live in. And like 10 years ago, every man or every male presenting person was starting to grow a beard. I wrote an essay for an intellectual Dutch magazine about it, and I went to Germany and I went to interview men in Berlin about their beards and about the ways they feel manly or non-binary or whatever. And this resulted in a website. I will launch this next year in January with 50 interviews with men talking about their lives, basically. It's a little bit like Humans of New York, but they're not random people talking about New York, but men talking about masculinity. What does it mean in this day and age of new feminism, of Me Too, of Black Lives Matter? How do men, cis, trans, non-binary, black, white, whatever, how do they relate to the times we live in? So it's a portrait of people talking about their lives, and it's fascinating to do it. And there's a link with Van Gogh because, of course, here in the museum, we know everything about Van Gogh. We are a knowledge center, we are a research center, but we don't know, nobody knows why Van Gogh had a beard. A lot of people don't know why he shaved his beard. So that's interesting. I mean, this is just a little fun fact, but I think that how you present yourself, how we all as humans present ourselves as black or white or Jewish or female or whatever is so interesting and says so much about the time we live in. So this is a big storytelling project. Like I said, the website will be live next year. We just started Instagram. It's called officialbeardsofberlin.com. I think there will be a link in the chat. So follow me. Sharing is caring, and it's a beautiful project. And I'm doing it next to my job, and it's a great combination of doing press and PR for a museum, and at the same time meeting people, having really deep conversations about life, and creating stories.
Now you said that you found out why Van Gogh had a beard. So why did he, and why did he shave?
No, so we don't know. That's the thing. We know everything about Van Gogh, but we don't know this. So if there are listeners or viewers who have an idea, please share it with us. We don't know why he did it. And I mean, it's a little detail, but then on the other side, the guy was painting himself all the time. So he was very much aware of the way he looked, of the way he was representing himself. So this is a very interesting thing. Why did he shave? We don't know. Maybe other people do know.
Okay, so a big mystery question. If anyone has the answer, please put it here. We have some comments also from Daniel saying that sounds beard-tastic. And he says, I would love to go to the Van Gogh Museum to get a haircut, but not an ear cut. Thank you, Daniel. And Justin says, totally regret not being able to go to the Van Gogh Museum when I was in Amsterdam. Now, my first question is, can you still get a haircut in the museum? And my second question for people like Justin is, why should people go to the museum? What kind of experience can they get in the museum, that's different from seeing the art through different forms?
You can't get your haircut or your beard cut anymore. I do have other addresses for that. And if you have an interesting story to tell, I think every person has, contact me and I can interview you. The museum, I mean, we're world famous. Actually, we are the museum of the 19th century art. We give a big, I mean, it's a big experience to be here, see all these amazing world famous paintings, learn about Van Gogh, the way he painted, the way he was influenced by others, because Van Gogh wasn't, he was influenced by, again, by the people he spent his time with. He isn't some deus ex machina that worked on his own. You have to see him in the context of his time, and that's what we do in the museum. It's very much about the connection between all these, in most cases men, who were making art and who were trying to change the world through their imagination and their co-creation. And that's also another link with the Beard Project. It's about connecting with other people. That's also the Beard Project. We also have changing exhibitions. At this moment, we have a major exhibition about Gustav Klimt, the Austrian painter, and how he got influenced by other painters like Van Gogh. It will be seen till the 8th of January. It's an amazing exhibition, lots of loans from Vienna, like Judith, world famous, and come see us.
That's great. I love Klimt because he was he made wallpaper before he became wallpaper designs, which at that time were super beautiful, and then turned into a painter, so that you can see in every piece of his paintings, which I find fascinating. I have a question. I see a bottle of champagne on your desk, and I was just wondering, what role does alcohol play? Is the connection between alcohol and art, or communication and alcohol? I just wondered why there was a bottle.
Yeah, that's just a little fun fact. This is a bottle of champagne with Judith, not Judith, Adele Bloch-Bauer on it. So this is another painting by Klimt, and it's an amazing, very famous story because, of course, we all know about the Nazi theft. Most paintings by Klimt got confiscated by the Nazis. And Adele Bloch-Bauer, her niece, started to sue the Austrian government to get this painting back because it belonged to the family and not the Austrian state. And she succeeded, thank God. And that's also a very interesting story because Klimt in his time was not only avant-garde because of the way he painted, but also the people he painted. In a time of huge anti-Semitism, he was painting Jewish women out and proud, as we would say nowadays, showing themselves to the world and in a way putting a middle finger to the establishment. So again, we have avant-garde, we have standing up for certain values and connecting with other people. And that's always, I think, a good element in stories. So when we talk about new media and reaching out to a broad audience, I think connection, knowing what the audience wants, and emotion is always key to anything you do. If you make an exhibition, if you are a social media person, if you write stories about beards, it's about connection and about emotion.
We have a question from the audience, actually from Daniel, saying, what is your favorite artist apart from Van Gogh, of course? Tell us that.
I'm a big 18th century buff, so there is a very famous, not so much maybe in the Netherlands or Belgium, but in France she's huge, a very famous painter, and she's called Vigée Lebrun. It's a woman artist in the 18th century and the first half of the 19th century who made beautiful society portraits. She lived in France. She was the court painter of Marie Antoinette, and then she fled, due to the French Revolution. She lived all over Europe, and she made these big, beautiful society portraits, and it's just a feast of the eye. Very different from Van Gogh, but you should check her out, Elisabeth Vigée Lebrun.
Excellent. So I think now it's time for our recommendations. So I think we'll start with you, Gideon. Can you tell us what your recommendation, what would you recommend to see? What should you do?
Yeah, so this is my first recommendation. This is the Judith, the famous painting by Klimt. It's now in the Van Gogh Museum in our Klimt exhibition till the 8th of January. Next week, Friday, we have an evening opening to attract new audiences, young people, hipsters. So we are doing a whole voguing ball in honor of Gustav Klimt and all his models. And the angle will be feminist and queer. So it's a beautiful evening next week. You all should come, or otherwise see the exhibition till the 8th. Another recommendation is an amazing TV show that was, I don't know, it came out like 4 years ago. It's now on Amazon Prime. Leora and I watch it, and it's called Transparent. It's about a Jewish American family, and the dad of the family comes out as a trans woman, and it's funny, it's intelligent, it's moving, it's emotional, and it's highly addictive.
Fantastic. Leora, what are your recommendations of the week?
Hello, everyone. My recommendations of the week, first of all, it's podcasts in general. I know that seems like a bit of an open door, but I am every day, I'm amazed when I want to learn something new. I just search for a podcast, and there's just a wealth of podcasts out there, and you learn so much just by, when you're walking, I know people say you should just look around and dream, and that's the best way to, grow as a person. But for me, I use every moment I have to just get more knowledge, to learn to all these people from all over the world. And today I wanted to recommend the Gary V podcast. It's called the Gary V Audio Experience. Now, I want to say Gary Vaynerchuk is his full name. I pronounce that so well. He is, of course, a guru when it comes to social media. And we at ZN, we adopt his content model, which basically means you develop a big piece of content, for example, a show like this, and then you turn it into lots of little clips, into quotes, for all your different channels. Also, it is the philosophy of document, don't create. So just absolutely document absolutely everything that you do. And of course, you have to have a content strategy, but at the same time, there's so much value in just sharing what it is that you're doing, because you're, of course, the expert on your field. And so I was very happy to find out that he had his own podcast in which he basically just answers questions of viewers, of listeners. He answers one question per episode, sometimes a few. And so you can just scroll through, see what you find interesting, and hear his unique perspective on this. So absolutely recommend it, the Gary V Audio Experience.
Thank you. And I would also add that you should all go and see the Klimt exhibition, because Klimt is fantastic. I'm also a big fan. My recommendation for this week was actually to get everybody to join the European Digital Advocacy Summit. That's UDAS next week, taking place on Wednesday. You can actually join the event free on Wednesday. There'll be a lot of different discussions on the future of digital communication. I will be on one of the panels with Marco Ricotta, EU influencer, as well as Maria from Cefic. So there'll be a very interesting conversation on trends. So please check it out. And of course, the following week, Leora will be talking at the BIF Summit, which is about associations and their communication channels, but we'll be talking more about that in the coming weeks. So Gideon, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
As the listeners, the viewers said, I think people have to go and drop in. It is an institution. It's something that everybody in Amsterdam should see. So make sure, Justin, next time you're in Amsterdam, you have to go. I've been once, but I will definitely come again. Leora.
Yeah, Van Gogh has a lot of interesting things happening on social media, so there's no reason to wait until you're in the beautiful city of Amsterdam. And also, don't forget to check out Gideon's, or the official Beards of Berlin Instagram channel, because it's also a little bit sexy. I'm just saying, as a woman, a cis woman, and so just check it out in case you like handsome men with beards. So just check it out.
The beard as well.
Phil also has a beard. What?
Yeah, I do. I'm
It's, as we say in Dutch, een baardje.
a small beard. I'll work on it. But thank you so much for being with us. Have a fantastic weekend and see you online. or
Thank you for
in
joining
Amsterdam.
us.
Thank you.
Thank
Shabbat
you.
shalom.
Bye.
Bye-bye.